Baby, you look good, you look pretty. I know why you stopped with me. It's a lot of bomb in the city, but you know nobody could get.
What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Cherry Love, aka Charity, and I'm back with another video. Okay, so today, this is my second video today. So if you see this ensemble more than once or twice or 3 times, it's because I'm binge recording today. Today's story time is going to be about my daughter. She passed away. I had her on March 22nd, 2018. And no, 2019. And she passed April 18th, 2019. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna go way back, like to when I found out I had her. Okay, so I found out I was pregnant 2 days after I got married. Mind you, I moved one day, got married the next day, and then found out I was pregnant 2 days later. If you want a story time on that, how I got married in a week, let me know in the description. But I found out I was pregnant November 12th, 2018. That's where the 18 is coming from. And when I found out I was pregnant, I'm not even gonna lie, I was like, see, now Charity, you doing too much. Sis, slow down. You just got married in a week. You just moved in 2 weeks. Like, what you trying to do? Why you rush? That's how I felt in my soul. That's how I felt. I feel like you doing too much. So I was a little but I was happy at the same time because I always wanted to be somebody's mama. Like, always. Like, I was the little girl who was putting towels in her shirt saying I was somebody's mama. So, my whole pregnancy, like, y'all, I was sick, like, sick. Like, the smell of meat being cooked, took me out, child. The only thing I would eat was boneless hot wings, and I would probably eat 3. I had no appetite. I was losing weight instead of gaining weight, and it just was like, what's going on? And that was my first trimester. So I just figured, first trimester, that's what's going on. So then my second trimester came. The sickness stopped until one day, like, out the blue, I'm just throwing up, can't keep anything down, can't sleep. Like, it just was awful. So I went to the doctor. And they said that I had a real bad UTI, and that's why I was getting sick. Now thinking about it, that made 0 sense. But I took what they said. They pumped me full of fluids, and they sent me home. So, mind you, at this point in time, I was working with 2- and 3-year-olds at a daycare center. And when working with 2- and 3-year-olds, there's a lot of, changing diapers and wiping faces, and they don't really know how to cover their mouths, and they're coughing and they're sneezing, and it's a lot of germs, basically, period. So, we come down to, I think I'm like 23, 24 weeks now pregnant, and I had a doctor's appointment. And so I go to my ultrasound appointment, and the ultrasound lady basically is doing my ultrasound, and she's like spooked. Like, I'm looking at her face, y'all, and she's spooked. Like, spooked. And so I'm looking at her like, what's going on? And she just like, oh, nothing. I'm just looking, blah, blah, blah. She checks the baby heart rate. I hear a heartbeat. So I'm just like, okay, she good, So, she goes out of the room, and she goes to talk to a doctor, blah, blah, blah. And she basically says that my baby is too small for her uterus at the point. Like, she should have been knocking on a pound, and she wasn't. And, she said that she was going to make an appointment for me in the next week, and I will be meeting with the high-risk doctor. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I've been working myself like a slave. Because mind you, I do teach dance. I was working at a center. Like, I'm just doing too much. That's what I chalked it up to. Me just doing too much. So I was like, they finna put me on bed rest. Shoot, I'm fine with that. I'm finna take me a little vacay, sleep all day, blah, blah, blah. That. So I went back to work. I told them what the doctor had said, and we all was preparing for me to just be put on bed rest, correct? So, fast forward to the next week, which was the day of St. Patrick's Day. And that's when I ended up having my ultrasound. So on St. Patrick's Day. So I had decorated my classroom, and I told the other two people who were in there with me, and I was like, I may be coming back, I may not, because they might be putting me on bed rest, but I will come for the party, and then I'm going home. So I had dressed up all green, you know, ready for St. Patrick's Day, because I'm going to come in here, they're going to tell me I'm getting on bed rest, and I'm going to come back to work, and I'm going to go home. Correct? So we get there. We start doing the ultrasound. Mind you, the man who was doing my ultrasound is knocking on 112. He was Jesus' classmate, probably valedictorian of Jesus' first class. Yeah, so he was old. And that's one thing that I don't like about old doctors. They are very, very, very insensitive. So he's like, he's doing my ultrasound, and then he stops, and he's like, well, Miss Davis, at the time, because I hadn't changed my last name yet. He was like, Miss Davis, here's where we're at. It's not looking good, honestly. And the way we're going, your baby has a chance of dying. And so me, I'm looking at him like, what you say? So he was like, these are your options. I'm telling y'all, he this dry. These are your options. Either you can go home and see what happens and your baby dies, or we can do an amniocentesis. That's, baby, I'm telling you the best way I know how to say the word. Amniocentesis. And we put you in the hospital and admit you up until either you have the baby or the baby is born. And mind you guys, I'm 24 weeks. I'm like, so basically you saying I'm finna be in this hospital for 20 more weeks. Like, you finna put me in the hospital for 20 more weeks. Oh, okay. So I burst out crying. Not gonna lie. So, sorry, my sister had called me. So I burst out crying. Not gonna lie. And I told him, I was like, can I call my mom? He was like, yes. Because, mind you, at the time, it was just me and my husband. And my mom works at the hospital that I was at. So I called my mom, and I'm like, listen to what this man has to say. So he repeats everything back to my mom. And mom was like, okay, she's going to make the best decision for her and her child. And so I told her I'd do it. Now, the problem with the amniocentesis that he was telling me was it could either harm the baby. It had a chance of harming the baby, period. Because it's where they stick a needle into your uterus to take out some of your amniotic fluid. So he does it, and they're doing an ultrasound while he's doing it. So I'm like, yeah, I went in the bathroom, got myself together, do you hear me? And I lay across the bed because I'm finna do what I have to do for my child. And so he's doing the amniocentesis. Mind you, the whole time he's trying to put the needle into my stomach, my little girl is trying to touch the needle. So I'm like, girl, get yourself together. Get it together. Let this man do his job. Like, come on. So he does the amniocentesis, and they write me a paper to tell me to go across the street to the next building, to the hospital, and I'm being admitted. So I text my job. I told them what was going on. And I'm like, I'm getting admitted, period. So I get admitted into labor and delivery. because of my status, they wanted me to be on labor and delivery, because at any point, if something happened to my baby, they were gonna give me an emergency C-section. So once I got put into labor and delivery, they basically, like, my nurse, she was real cool. Her name was Alex. Hey Alex, what's up? I hope you watch this. Okay. So yeah, she looked like she could have been probably 4 years older than me, and I'm 22. So she basically was in there, and I was like, do you know what's going on with me? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, can you explain it to me? Because all those words he was saying, I don't understand. She explained to me that my baby's uterus, no, my placenta was aging as if I was 9 months pregnant when I was really 6 months pregnant. And, well, 5.5 months pregnant. And that my baby's heart, so your heart, your blood flow from the placenta with a baby is like a river. It's supposed to flow straight, correct? Now, my baby's blood basically was skipping. So it'll be beep, 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 beep. That's how her heart was going, because it was basically it was pausing. And what they were watching me for was they didn't want it to go reversed, which would be where all of her nutrients and all of her stuff was going back to placenta instead of placenta sending it back to her. So all of her nutrients is supposed to go straight to her, but instead it was stopping on one beat and then sending. So it was pausing, and they didn't want it to just stop completely. So they admitted me, they watched me, they gave me steroids, to mature her lungs in case they ended up delivering me. It was a lot, y'all. I was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks. So I'm on the labor and delivery floor for 5 days. If I'm not mistaken, 5 days. And within those 5 days, I can honestly say I probably ate 3 times. 5 days, ate 3 times. You do the math. If you're supposed to eat 3 meals a day, every day for 5 days, which is 15 meals, and I only had 3. I had 1/5 of what y'all eat. 1/5. Yeah. So I was hungry and I was mad, and they had me on these monitors so they could hear her heartbeat, because anytime she started decelerating, it raised caution. So I had family members coming, and people from my church coming, and my dance girls coming, and everybody just checking up on me, calling me, da-da-da-da. And I had just got to this point where I was just like, honestly, she's better out than in. Honestly, had you asked me, because nobody could find what was wrong with her. Nobody knew what was wrong. And up until that point, everything was fine. So it was God, y'all, don't make me lie. I just know it was one night. It was another night they had stopped me from eating, and I'm going to sleep, and in my sleep, I would wake up because I had monitors on. It was hard for me to sleep, so I would always wake up. And when I woke up, I could hear her desatting. Like, her heartbeat would, slow down. So, ouch. I just do my thing. So, her heart rate would be at, 140 beats per minute. And it would go down to, 90. Like that. So, in my head, I'm like, oh, Lord. Today is the day. So me and my husband, we prayed and we worshiped a little bit and we prayed. And the next morning when the doctor walked in, I was like, Doc, today? And he was like, I think so. So I was like, so now that we know, because the thing was, the reason why they kept taking me off food was if I had to go into an emergency C-section, it was going to be like that. And I didn't need to have anything in me because they didn't want a chance of me vomiting while I was under, because they wouldn't be able to give me a spinal tap or an epidural. They would have to basically put me under anesthesia and I would just be knocked out. And they didn't want a chance of me throwing up and choking on my vomit. Sorry to be graphic. But, yeah, so I was like, well, since we know, does that mean... Oh, and also, if they had did an emergency, my husband wouldn't have been in there. So I was like, okay, so since we know, that means my husband can be there, right? And that means I can get the spinal. He was like, yeah. He was like, how does 2 o'clock sound for you? I was like, sound like a plan. So I called up my family, and I'm like, 2 o'clock. She gonna be here, y'all. 2 o'clock. Everybody will be here 2 o'clock. Period. So, 2 o'clock comes. 2 o'clock comes, you guys. And he comes in and he's telling me everything that's going to go on. He's like, we're going to get you, we're going to prep you, then we're going to bring in Joe, and then you won't be able to feel anything. I'll make sure you can't feel anything before I start. You'll be wide awake. I promise you won't feel anything. You might not hear anything because of how small she is. And what else did he say? Basically, that was about it. And so I'm like, okay. So, they took me to the back. They prepped me. And, you know, they started doing my C-section. And literally, you can't feel anything. It just feels like they're, like, pulling on you. Like, but you can't feel any pain or anything. And so, when... I'm just sitting there and I'm staring up and I'm just waiting. And out of nowhere, y'all, I hear a cry. My baby cried, y'all. Cried. Came out kicking and screaming and whining. They were blowed. Do you hear me? Because my baby was, 11.6 ounces. 11.6 ounces, y'all. That's this. She literally was here. That's how big my baby was. And she came out kicking and screaming. They were blowed. Do you hear me? Blowed. But I started crying because, like, I was somebody's mom. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's a crazy feeling. Not gonna cry. Okay. So, yeah. But... yeah, it was an awesome feeling, you guys. Dang it, I'm crying. So, they got her out. They took her to the next room. My husband followed, and they got her in her incubator, and they took her straight to the NICU. So, once I went to the room, and I was, stable, they gave me my medication. High as a kite, period. But they gave my medication. 2 lactation nurses came in, showed me how to basically pump so that she could get breast milk, because she was gonna need that in the NICU. Like, it was very important. So they and they took me to see her, and y'all, most beautiful baby I've ever seen in my life. Even though she was small, she was so beautiful. Okay, so yeah, I'm really trying not to cry. Anyways, so then they take me up to the mother baby floor, which is basically where the mothers go to recover. Y'all, I thought I was in the Ritz-Carlton. Do you hear me? I'm talking about that room was nice. Nice. Do you hear me? Like, it's hotels who look 10 times better than half the hotels I have slept in. And so I'm up there. I was in pain the first night, don't get me wrong, but literally by the second day, I was walking around, walking to see my baby, walking like nothing was wrong. And so, she was in there for probably 4 or 5 days, before they finally found out what was wrong with her. What was wrong with my baby? Oh, I named her Chosen Jelani Joelle Crompton. And I named her Chosen because that was the original name I had picked out for her. But when I thought of Jelani, I just figured like Jelani was cuter or, nicer or whatever. But then through the whole experience that I went to, I really felt like she was chosen by God to be here for a purpose. And so that's what I named her. So she was there 4 days before they found out what was wrong with her. And what was wrong with Chosen was she had CMV. Cytomegalovirus is how it's pronounced. And CMV is basically like, herpes lives inside of everyone. And CMV is on that list. So it's torch. It's called torch. There's a T, there's an O, there's an R. The C is for CMV, the H is for herpes. And those are viruses that live inside of you, but they have to be activated. So CMV lives inside of everyone, but it has to be activated first. And it's usually activated by the germs of 2 and 3-year-olds. Which really bothered me because I was like, why wouldn't anybody tell me this when on my paperwork and anytime I went to like my doctor's appointments, everybody knew I worked at a daycare center and they knew I was around 2 and 3-year-olds. Like, why didn't anyone, tell me? So I'm like, why didn't anybody tell me that? So the only way they found that out is because her nurse at the time, who was Ashley. Oh my gosh, I really thank God for Ashley, because I really feel like if it wasn't for Ashley, to this day, we wouldn't have known what was wrong with my baby. But Ashley was like, she knew deeply about CMV, but she hadn't seen it in a long time. Like, it was really rare in the hospital for a very long time. And she something just told her one day to test my baby for it, because she basically had all the symptoms for it. And that's why I honestly thank God for nurses, because they honestly sometimes pick up way more than doctors. They pick up way more than doctors, because doctors are only there for this much of time. They try to figure out what's going on with their patient and then they're gone. But nurses are there taking care of you, being by your side all the time and just, sticking it out with you. So I really feel like if she hadn't noticed the signs in my baby, we would still be clueless to this day, because the doctors just didn't know. Every time we went up there for those 4 days, it was, we're still looking. Her amniocentesis came back fine. We're still looking. And the only way she found out that my baby had CMV was that she tested her urine. It was that easy to test her urine. And y'all are looking high and low to figure out what was wrong. Okay. So once we found out about it, they started telling us all of the things that could go wrong, like at worst death. If she did make it through, then she could be blind or deaf, or have cerebral palsy. Just a lot of scary things to tell 22-year-olds. So the thing about it is, me and my husband, our faith, and I honestly think that was her main purpose of being here, was to build our faith. Our faith had become so strong, like we didn't foresee any of that. Like, I was like, she's gonna get better, she's gonna be fine. That's okay. I hear what you're saying, but I'm gonna listen to what God is saying. And that was my stand on it, period. So days went by, and she would have like a bunch of good days, a bunch of consistent days, and a bunch of bad days. And that 27th day was a bad day. So I woke up to a phone call from the NICU, and it was a nurse saying that she had a really bad D-cell that night, and basically they wanted me and my husband to come up there to talk to the doctor about what we wanted to do next. So we came, and he basically told us that she had a really bad night, and that if it was to happen again, he wanted to know what we wanted to do, and that it was basically a chance of her not making it. And so we told him we would come back with our parents, because I'm a firm believer that it takes a village to raise a child, and although it was our baby, it's also their baby. Like, it's the first grandchild, so I wanted them to be there too. And so we came back, we talked to the doctor, and we told him, okay, if something happens, let us know, and we're gonna be here. So he called us. Like, literally, we made it home. We probably lived 10 minutes away from the hospital. We made it home, and as soon as I got good and comfortable to pump, they called me back up there. So we rushed to the hospital, because the way he made it sound was she was not making it. So I called up my pastor. I called up my first lady. I was breaking down. I was like, this is it. Like, she's leaving. And so we got there, and as soon as we got there, she was consistent. She was good. She was fine. And so he was like, what we're going to do right now is we're going to let you hold her, because mind you, we hadn't held her. So ever. Like, she was, the way she was, we couldn't touch her. So, yeah, so we got to hold her. And we held her for at least 2 hours. Like, me and my husband, we held her for like 2 hours. And he gave us the option of us taking her and she passes while she's with us, or we let her stay and see if she can stick it out through the night. So by the 27th day, I feel like God had really dealt with me. Like, I felt like, whew, I'm sorry, y'all. I feel like God had really dealt with me on it, because he started to take me back. While I was pregnant, I had never seen my baby shower. Like, you know how people envision stuff? I had never seen my baby shower. I never saw like a first birthday. I never saw me delivering her. I never saw any of that people, see and look forward to. I never saw that. So I felt like he was saying, I prepared you for this, So I gave that option to my husband. I was like, do you want to take her and we spend time with her, or do you want to see if she can stick it out? And his faith was like, she's going to stick it out. I'm going to let her stick it out. So I was like, okay. He made the decision. So we left her to stay the night, and we were going to see if she sticked it out. And literally, we left again, and it started to storm. And we already knew a storm was coming that night. So we went to a family member's house, because that's what we did. We always went to a family member's house when a storm came, because it was just like our storm get together. And our plan was to go back up there the next morning after the storm and check up on her. So it starts to storm. And I get a phone call from the NICU, and she's like, okay, she's desatting. And I'm like, okay, we're on the way up there. So I go to find some shoes, and literally she calls back, and she's like, her heart just stopped. I'm sorry, but she's gone. And I broke down. But the breakdown wasn't because like, oh, my baby's gone. It was more so because I wasn't there, I guess. Whew. I'm sorry, y'all. I really felt like I should have been there. But I felt like, I know if I was there, her dad would have been there. And she didn't want her dad to be there. which is why when we got there, she was good. She was consistent. She didn't decel one time while we was there when we were holding her because she didn't want to do it in front of her dad. She, even while we were holding her, she gave him this little kick, like, I'm good. And it's this thing that his sister does, because my brother and his sister both have autism. And it's this thing that his sister does. She's like, okay. That's her, okay. She does this. And my baby literally did that, you guys. Like, my husband said, he's like, you okay, fat mama? She was like, and we laughed at it at the time, not realizing that was really her saying, like, yeah, daddy, I'm okay. I'm going to a better place, but I'm gonna be okay. So once I realized that, through like in the middle of my breakdown, I got myself together, and we rushed to the hospital. They put us and all my family in a room. They dressed her up so beautifully. Oh my God, y'all. They had this beautiful lavender dress on her. And they put her in this beautiful, like, pastel blanket. And, geesh. And they let us hold her for as long as we wanted to. And at that time, me and my husband, we really just let our family just pass her around and hold her because we had our moment. And this was the only moment they were going to get. So, we let them have their moment. And, I had my phone on shuffle with my worship music because my baby was a real worshiper. Baby, she could go in for the Lord. Like, she had some favorite church songs, let me tell you. And her favorite artist, like, the one she would move the most on, that's why I say favorite, was Miranda Curtis. So Miranda Curtis came on Open Heaven. If you don't know that song, please go listen to that song. And at that moment, I got so much peace. And I was like, okay, this is the time. So I called the nurse back in. She took her. And we all went home. And we had to plan a funeral and all that. And we had her funeral May 3rd. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful funeral. Thanks to my pastor and my first lady and my daughter's godparents. This shirt. You can go back to the last video, my first video, where I talk about her godmother, Lakeisha Davis, Creations to Impress. This was the shirt that we wore to the funeral. It's a, in a world full of roses, you were our chosen sunflower. And that's because from the moment she came out, like, she brought so much, like, sunshine and brightness to our life. Like, I call her my sunflower. And when she died, she was still my sunflower. And she will always be my sunflower. And I just, I just know my little diva up there, because she was a diva, y'all. I didn't even tell y'all how she used to kick her nurses when they was bothering her sleep. Baby, she slept like this. She was a real deal lady. That's why we called her a lady. And I'm going to insert some clips of the stuff that her nurses did for her. And but yeah, that's my sunflower. And anybody who knows me, when they see sunflowers, baby, I get so many messages and so many texts and so many tags on social media, because sunflowers literally, like, have made a statement on people when it comes to me and my daughter, because literally that's what she means to us. And so yeah, that was my story time about my daughter. She will be 6 months next month on the 22nd. She will be 1 next year, March 22nd, and we will have a big birthday bash in honor of my baby girl. So yeah, you guys, that was just a little insight onto my life about my daughter. And to parents who have lost children, I just want to say, keep your head up, baby. Sometimes your children were too precious for this earth. And that's exactly how I feel, because I think back and I think about everything she would have had to deal with if she was here. And I just know that God did not want her like that. God couldn't see her like that. He couldn't see me seeing her like that. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take this one. I got this one. I can handle this one. And he took her for his own. And I know she's up there giving him problems, but she's up there living the life that she deserves, that she should always have deserved. So, thank you so much for listening to me. If you got this far, excuse my tears. Y'all look, y'all and get an ugly cry. And I will see you in the next video.
Dice is on the beat.